I mean, dreams can make wonders in your life. If you don't have a dream, you won't do anything in life. You will not chase the dream, right? Chasing the dream is the right thing to do. It. Do not wait for right opportunity. Every single day, every single minute is a right opportunity for you. Unless and until you try anything, you won't be able to success.
Right.
That's the real thing into it, right? Be focused on solving real problems for real people. That's very important. Real problems for real people, right? Be open to all the ideas. Be open to do all the experiments. Unless you do experiments, unless you try something, you will not be able to succeed. When you try 100 times, you win only one time. Because you're trying. Every
Right.
time you try, you're making new things. You're learning something new, and at the end, you win it. So that's what I would say. I would say dream more, chase more, experiment more.
Right. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chat.Travel. Today we have a special guest coming from all over the world. He's been traveling all around to Vietnam, to Da Nang, and he been my friend for a while now. And welcome, Hash.
Thank you very much for the invite. Yeah, lovely meeting you back again.
Excellent. So Haas here is the founder and CEO of Comits, right?
Correct.
Do I spell this correctly?
So we say Commbitz.
Commbitz.
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about Commbitz, about yourself, and what is your impression of arriving in Vietnam this year?
So Vietnam has been very beautiful. I have been traveling to Vietnam for quite a few times, a couple of years ago. And I really love the culture, and the people are very good enough and very helpful in that line. Yeah. So Commbitz is basically a combination of, the name came from, it's basically communication, M2M, which is IoT and stuff, and then business. So it's a combination of communication, M2M, and business together. So that's how it derived as Commbitz.
What is M2M?
M2M is basically machine-to-machine talks, yeah, which is into the IoT space, and you need connectivity into M2M as well. Your cars coming up, your electric meters coming up. So that's where the M2M plays a very big role in that way. Yeah. As far as the journey you asked about, right? So I started my career very early in my life. I have roughly around 12 plus years of experience only in this telecom roaming space globally here. So it's all mainly focused on the Indian focused travelers going abroad. But then along with my other co-founder, I realized the opportunity of a global kind of business expansion, which is where the Commbitz came into the picture in 2019. Right. So we thought, okay, India is already a big market. We are focusing on the Indian travelers, but we also thought about why don't we take this whole logic and concept by the eSIM coming into the picture, there are no boundaries for our business. So that's how we moved to a global kind of picture where our mission is to marry the localized telecom with the travelers. So this is how the whole scenario works out. Yeah.
Right. So before you founding Commbitz, right? How was your journey back? When you first started. Before Commbitz, you said you was in communication for 12 years. How was that?
So, I mean, it has not been a smooth ride. I had been in and out working through it throughout my studying time as well, family challenges and stuff. But 2011, 2012, I again co-founded a company along with my cousins and my friends, which was focused on the roaming space as well, which was very new during that time, right? And 2012, one company approached me for directly getting employed under them while I was still studying. So then I moved to that company, and I've been working with them for almost 10 years in that line. Then I started with doing sales first, right? So I was doing domestic sales for them, and then getting into different verticals during the phases of life. And then 2019, I thought again getting back to the entrepreneur chair and experience the whole journey, how it works. Right. So then again, I moved back to that journey and started founding Commbitz in that line for a global picture.
Right. How is Commbitz doing right now? So you are providing eSIM mainly.
Yeah.
So eSIM has been a very new concept, especially to the traveler. I don't know in other countries, but in Vietnam, it's very new as well. We at our company were trying to convince the customer if somebody want to use the eSIM on their international travel, but it has been quite a challenge because they don't know much about eSIM. They don't trust it. It's very important. Nobody uses.
Yeah.
So how are you coming up with that idea of having Commbitz at an eSIM company, and how are you going to tackle those challenges in the eSIM industries, and I know that most of the phones nowadays that are capable of handling an eSIM, but to a lot of people they don't know much about an eSIM at international level. Can you in summary explain to us a little bit what is an eSIM, and how does that works actually? What are the insides of the eSIM? What is the backstage? What is actually working behind? And what is your role as a Commbitz, being a company that helped the traveler in this story?
Right. So eSIM is in very simple term. It's electronic SIM, right? It and is discards all the physicality of the particular physical SIM, which is also good in a lot of sustainability kind of model where it saves a lot of plastic, right? So roughly in a year there are 4.6 billion SIMs getting produced,
Wow.
right? And they are all being used by one-time plastic. I mean, they're all use and throw things, right? So roughly by moving from this particular physical aspect, we are saving 20,000 ton of plastic minimum.
20,000.
20,000 tons of plastic. This is not only in regards to your one-time use SIM, but it also enables to you having saving a lot of other plastic in regards to the packaging and other stuff as well, which is all one-time plastic, right? So there's no new thing. It's a SIM in regards, but it's electronic SIM, which is typically a QR code in this age of time, which gets fitted onto your phone immediately. You don't have to remove and throw and again do this hassle of staining the SIMs again and again in that way. Yeah. As you mentioned, that a lot of people are not aware about eSIMs in that mind, right? Which is actually true because the challenge is not only the education that is needed by the travelers or the users, but is also on the other side of the world where the operators are not that fully into it, which makes a lot of difficult for the normal people to get educated how the whole eSIM concept works. So it was a very challenging segment for us as well when we started this, because not all the operators are enabled by eSIMs in that way. So it took a lot of hurdle for us to convince the operator to have a eSIM for them as a service and then bring it to our platform where we can enable a lot of travelers in that way. Now we are trying to do a lot of other stuff. I mean, as a company, in fact, we have been growing year by year. We are positive, EBITDA positive, everything is positive in that way. Our revenue is growing drastically by year in that way. We are closing this year roughly around £7 million. Last year, we closed at £4.6 million. Before that, we were £1.5 million. So we are growing in that very growing pattern in that way. At this point of time, what business we are doing is we are doing mainly B2B, business to business. So we are enabling a lot of eSIM and SIM resellers to have their own eSIMs in that way, provided by us at the backend. And we are going towards the travel and tourism marketplaces as well. And all the attraction companies, the OTAs and other related companies to our platform. So we are enabling them as well to have that service because this is all, there's no border in the business. We are not getting any custom compliance issues or no regulations, nothing in that way in regards to shipments, right? So this becomes more easy. There is no border. We always call it no border business, business without borders, which is a very good term that we use. And it's becoming more education nowadays, right? Even we were reading some other articles a couple of days ago where we see by 2030, 2035, 76% of the handsets which are getting manufactured will be all eSIM enabled. So by coming up to this move, it will make a lot of sense in regard to the sustainability as well as in regards to the user acceptance in the market as well, right? As far as the B2C kind of model is concerned, we are trying to educate more and more as we can do it. Our eSIM sale is also growing by 1,000% every year in that way. We are opening new and new markets in that line. We are coming up a lot of different kind of low cost effective plans for a customer to choose that way. Because in a simple term, when we are saving some plastic, there's a save already, right? So we pass that to the customers in that way that makes more sense in that line, yeah.
Right. So what do you think when you talk about eSIM, right? Even though your sales was £7 million last year, do you think that £7 million is something big enough, or is still a very modest number compared to the global market? Because if you think about 7 million in the UK alone, or in the Middle East or in Europe, it's a different story. That 7 billion for travelers in like in Indonesia, in Thailand, in Vietnam, or in the Morocco's for those low cost carriers, right? So What has been your secret sauce for so much sales in, and what has been your best market?
Right, so that's a very interesting one, right? The secret sauce is nothing but all the hard work that has gone for all these 12, 13 years of the team who's working behind us, even the previous organization, my co-founder, myself. So we understand the market very, very well, right? So our relationship with all the travel companies, OTAs, airlines and stuff, that is helping us to get all the sales boosting up, right? So we are doing a lot of B2B to C kind of model newly into where we are going to travel companies, enabling them to have eSIM as a product into their portfolio. So which helps us to get more and more sales in that line.
Okay, so a lot of travel company has been telling me or even complaining about eSIM, that when you mentioned about B2B to C, that they don't want to sell eSIM to the customer because either is the profit is too low, or the handling process is they don't want to get into more trouble, or like when when they give the eSIM to the customer, because travel company is not like one two single individual. They travel by big group, 40, 50 passengers, and then when something happens, for example, oh, my SIM doesn't work, they come to the tour guide, and the tour guide will call the company, and the company will call you guys. Yeah. And it will make that even worse. So how do you convince those travel agent or the OTAs or the company that so they don't have to handle this, or the you tell me,
Yeah, this is a question that I think every travel company gets into, right? Every travel company or every attraction company comes into the picture. But luckily, by God's grace, we have not got such kind of issues in any of our partnerships that we have dealt till now, right? But I see major challenge coming up by the user not being aware about how the whole thing works in, right? They're all small, small things into the way, right? Which a user doesn't have education into it. So what we are doing to tackle this problem is we're trying to educate users as soon as the purchase is done, by not only giving them just eSIM, but also trying to educate them what is to be done and what is not to be done in the form of a video. So as soon as somebody coming to us purchases an eSIM, they get a QR code, which is an eSIM in that way through their WhatsApp channel or your email channel. But we also try and get them, sending them a video, like a tutorial, which says, okay, you need to switch on your data roaming on, you need to select your SIM one if you're using a multi SIM kind of handset, and that enables everything in that way. If 1, 2, 3 checks are done, there is no complaints at all. Because typically it's a SIM. There is no change into it. Rather than a physical SIM, it's a digital SIM. It's an electronic SIM. There is no change in the technology. There is no change in the solution overall here.
So let's talk a little bit about the physical SIM card that you mentioning earlier. So not only they're providing the waste, right, the plastic waste, what else do you think that will eliminate the physical SIM card in the future, that coordinate with the development of sustainable travel or tourism?
See, what's happening here nowadays is basically it's a hassle, right? Anybody travels, you travel, I travel. Every new country that we go, we have to remove the SIM. It's too much of hassle, stand in the queue to get a SIM card. We are not connected as soon as we land. We need to wait to get our luggage, do immigration, then go and look for a local SIM card. And that also in many countries, it's not English speaking countries, right? Where travel face a lot of challenges in that way. So they have to get into a lot of challenges in that manner. So by coming up to this particular platform, the eSIM, that gets everything off. The user has an app into his phone where he can select what plan he wants depending on the usage pattern that he knows about himself. He can store multiple profiles into the same phone, and this is all real time. They don't have to wait for anybody to explain them or do anything else. They choose what they want. Everything goes onto the profile immediately, and they're connected as soon as they land into the new country. So this enables them to be more and more connected all the time, rather than getting confused and getting panic about not knowing the local language of the
Right.
country and troubling and all that stuff. So this enables every single thing very simple in that manner.
Yeah. So do you think you wanna like localize more on your platform? For example, if you talk about Vietnam, which is our country here, the traveler that older than 45 years old and 50, 60 gentlemen, ladies, they traveling outside of Vietnam a lot, but not many of them are frequent travelers, and they're not speak very good English in a way. So do you think that creating a videos in that local languages will help, and then maybe have the local supports if something's go wrong, instead of calling the travel company, they're calling directly to somebody that's speaking Vietnamese or,
Local language.
local languages. That helps. What do you think?
So that's the question that we are getting into the line, right? So roadmap for 2025 at our end is to make things localized into the markets that we want to get enter into, right? So for example, we our first market for at this point of time is China. So we have a team in China. So now what we're trying to do is we're trying to build up an AI bot
Oh, okay.
where customers do not have to even pick up the phone and talk, right? In that way, they do an AI bot which is localized into that language, right? So they don't have to do anything else. They don't have to worry about the languages and stuff. Where they go a localized chat and they get all the answers back by the bot itself. So there is no human sitting there. Everything is fed into the system, and they get answers in the localized manner. Plus, we are also trying to educate the market with the localized flavor, right? For example, rightly as you said, there's a set of people they don't understand about more about mobile phones and technology in that way, right? Where manufacturer handsets are also playing an important role in that way. Not every handset with that particular age is enabled by eSIM in that way. So that's going to take a transition of time where all the handsets are getting moved enough to an eSIM kind of model where it's a mandatory and everybody will get educated towards in that manner in that line. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the cost, right? When a cost in how do you compare if you need to convince a travel agent or an OTA or a customer in a cost perspective? Does eSIM cheaper than the physical SIM card? Or?
So as far as the cost is concerned, right, the cost at this point of time is the same for physical SIM and the eSIM if you go directly to the operator in that manner. But if you come to us, we would like to push more and more eSIMs, right? So our cost is much more effective than what you buy from the local operator. Plus, also, even when you land in a country, it's expensive than you buy from us. I'm going to give you a simple example of US, which is one of the hot destinations for a lot of business travelers in that way, right? You land up to the US, the operator plans is at $50. Same plan is at $50, which gives you incoming unlimited, local calls unlimited data. The same plan, when you come to us at Commbitz, we give you at $20.
Wow.
Everything is the same. Everything. It's the same product from the same operator, but we have agreements with the operators, which enable us to give much more sustainable in that way and cost-effective manner to our customers. In the whole channel, we also enable the partners to earn money into it. We
Wow.
don't leave the partners in this $20. We also give X amount of commissions to the partners, so they also make money out of the whole trade that
Right.
goes
So
on.
everybody wins.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Right. But that is for the traveler, for the leisure traveler. What about the business traveler like myself, for example, when I travel, I actually I don't like easy. Because I like I gonna keep my number because there's a lot of calls. I need to have my calls. I cannot get rid of my calls. And then therefore, for example, I'm using Viettel right now. So when I go to Singapore or any other countries, I need to keep my Viettel numbers, right? I need to pay for the roaming.
Yeah.
And then I need to pay for
The local.
the
The
local
data.
operator. How did the eSIM help me in this story where I still need to pay for the roaming and then the eSIM or the local SIM as well? What do you think? How did the business traveler can have an idea of the eSIM that this is actually helping you to maintain your important calls
Yeah.
and keep you stay connected?
Right. So, see, nowadays, everybody in the world is mainly on data. Data is the life, right? I mean, nobody can live without data. All our calls are mainly on the data apps like Viber, WhatsApp, Line, and stuff, right? So, why do you need a number in that way? Of course, you need your numbers to receive your OTPs, which are now also coming on your email nowadays, your bank OTPs and stuff, right? So, when you talk about being connected, of course, you need an identity, which is your local identity to be having on your business card and stuff. But not everybody remembers numbers nowadays. Everybody is on data, right? So all the calls coming up, all data, right? So we enable users to give more and more data into it, so they are more connected even while they're traveling abroad, and they don't pay heavy roaming bills. As you're mentioning about bills and stuff, right? So you don't pay any heavy roaming bills. You can have the number if you want. You retain your number with a very basic plan. Make calls. Everybody calls on the WhatsApp. Who calls? Who remembers numbers nowadays in life? Nobody remembers numbers. Everybody just pick up WhatsApp or whatever app you're using. Just make a phone call over there.
Unless in the case of emergency, right? They only want to call.
And even, I mean, even if you say about emergency, a lot of emergency services are moving towards this digital apps, data apps, right? If you do a lot of stuff for banking is moving towards WhatsApp. You check your balances. You want to do anything, you want to log into your account, you check your balance, you want to do transaction, everything is on WhatsApp. And same thing we are also moving towards. Even if you want to do a purchase, we're coming to a WhatsApp bot. We don't want you to go to an app, don't download an app. Don't want to go to a website, don't do anything. Go to the WhatsApp channel, select country you're traveling, number of days you want traveling, and then you will see all the plans coming up, and then you do all the go.
And you can pay on WhatsApp as well?
Everything.
Wow.
That's in the roadmap coming up where we want the people to even pay through the WhatsApp or Meta platforms.
Excellent. That's why I want to deep dive on these topics. I just want to ask you the next question about the payment.
Yeah.
Right. So earlier on you was mentioning about our currency. When we do localization, there's two things are most important. First of all is the language.
Yeah.
Right. You need to understand the local culture,
Correct.
the local way of purchasing, and then you need to change on the currency, and you need to adapt with the local payment method. How are you going to tackle that in terms of payment?
Right. So at this point of time, what we are doing is we have payment aggregators in the world, which are normal payment aggregators. We accept our bank cards and stuff. But as soon as we are getting into a new market, we are working with a local payment aggregator in that market, which enables the people and travelers of that particular country to pay via whatever terms it might be. For example, if we get into China, we might work with aggregators who accept Alipay and WeChat Pay. So people do not have to do debit or credit card of payment, while they prefer WeChat and Alipay kind of payment. So we are getting into that localization anytime coming into it. One important thing which I personally very like the whole concept is about the cryptocurrency, right? So I'm a big in favor of crypto, which is borderless. Everything is smooth. There's no plus and minuses coming into the picture. In the roadmap for this year, we are trying and planning to do a pilot by accepting cryptocurrencies on our platform, which is discarding all the other payment platforms by getting into localized manner. And Southeast Asia is one of the very strong hub where people use crypto a lot. I was in Philippines before coming here, and people use cryptos like day in, day out. I visited Brazil, they use it. I was in Hong Kong. Surprisingly, they have an cryptocurrency ATM in Hong Kong.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In South Africa, they have an ATM. You go to the ATM.
You can get the coin.
Yeah, you can get the real cash. You can get the fiat money coming into the picture. Yeah. So world is moving towards it. And the recent US election coming into the picture, Elon Musk coming into the picture.
Right.
I'm strong belief in that way that crypto is going to pick up a lot of stuff into the market. And we do not want to miss that boat. We want to get into the line as well of accepting crypto. Also, one interesting fact that we are going to trying out is also launch our own coin within the platform. So people can make use of the coins to purchase from our platform. And even we'll try to put it up to the platform which are on the trading manner.
Can you explain a little bit more of that? Like when you have your own coin, so people purchase the eSIM, and then do they get the coin credit or something?
Yeah, so it's basically you pay through our coin, the crypto coin that we are about to launch. You pay through that, you get your reward points or loyalty back as a cash back in that manner, which you can use it for multiple channel of services, which we are trying to get into our platform. So we are becoming like a travel super app, which is not only restricting user to be only with the eSIM connectivity model, but we are also in the roadmap, we are bringing up a lot of attractions to the user because we know where the customer is traveling.
Right.
So we want to give
data, right?
We have the data, and we want to use AI and big data kind of stuff to play around and give user all the facility that we can give during the travel, right? So we are going to use travel transports, transfer services, cap services in that way, attraction services, a local language currency converter. Everybody wants to convert the currency immediately and see what they are paying in the local currency. The major other challenges is language. So we are going to put up all this thing into one platform and offer as a super travel app to the users.
Right. I really hope that we want to see those become reality, probably
Hopefully.
in a very short period of time.
Yeah, very soon.
Yeah. I want we want to discuss a little bit more about the SIM, because there's one thing that people don't know much about. Because nowadays it's very easy to have a website integrating eSIM and selling, but nobody knows what is happening behind, right? Like a supplier. Can you explain to us a little bit about the supply of the eSIM? What is the supply chains in the eSIM industry now?
See, supply is dynamic in that way, and it's not an easy task to get into it, right? It takes a lot of kind of commitments towards an operator from our kind of people. We commit a lot of stuff to an operator. We show them the roadmap. What are we going to do? And that's how they get convinced. And there are a lot of securities and monetary values assigned to it, right? And in the world, there are roughly around 200 countries. Every country has 4 to 5 networks, minimum, major operators. And then there are small operators, which we call MVNO, which are running on the main operator, right? So it's thousands of operators globally, and it's very difficult to go and talk to everybody in that way, right? And more other challenging part is every country has their own regulation in regards to the telecommunication, right? So we have to follow all of that, comply with the supply, get into all the regulation stuff that we do it, and make sure everything comes to our platform as one unique thing, and then we give it to a user which does not get to know what's happening at the back end.
Right. So do you work directly with, mainly you work directly with the local operator, meaning
Correct.
the network operator?
Yeah.
Do you work with the middleman as well, like somebody that work directly with the SIM? Because I understand that for any company, it will be very tough to work with every single network operator. Is that correct?
That's truly correct, right? So what we do is we prefer to work with operators directly, the master operators, that is MNO and MVNOs. But in that line also, we also work with global aggregators in that way. So what they do is they focus on particular zone and the country where they do the commitments from their end, and then we ride on their commitments.
Right.
But that enable us to purchase and do everything that we want and play around with the plans that we want to give it to our customers. It's not that they sell us the plans, they sell us a big data pool, and we customize the plan basis on the need of the customer that we understand from the market.
Right.
So we do a localized kind of plans where a customer has a benefit of taking all the cost benefit as well.
But you know that when we work with local operator, it's tougher because the operator would need to know who you are. You may need to deposit a lot of money.
Yep.
Right. So it will affect the cash flow. So would you prefer to work with local operator more in terms of finance, or would you prefer to work with an aggregator where they don't need you to have like comply to the regulation and everything? Because for me, I would just buy from somebody else.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense for us being at the zone that if we start growing on, we would prefer to work with the operators directly, because that gives us an advantage of understanding the whole platform, right? So we can manage the whole platform at our end in that way. Working with aggregators is a different game altogether, where they compliance is always there, irrespective. It might be a aggregator or an operator. We have to follow the regulations of the land. There's no change in that. Either we buy it from the operator or from the aggregators in that way. At the end of the day, we would prefer to work with the operators directly, because we get a commitment of the service from the operators in that way.
Right, right. How about the when we talk about supplies, we talk about quality management. If you work directly with the local operator, the local network operator, I think I can feel that it's easier to manage the quality because they know what's going on, right? But when you work with aggregators, what is the challenges when it comes to quality control?
As you're rightly saying, right, working with the operator has our own advantage. I mean, we are assured of the quality. I mean, we do not want to go always on the price kind of model, cheap, cost effective, not always, but you also want to focus on having a good quality of services for the
Yes.
travelers.
Yes.
Right? Because quality matters, because everything is dependent on your data, right? You're traveling out, you want data in that way. We want to be cost effective, but at the same time, we also want to be more and more quality preferred in that manner. Working with operators gives us all the benefit of that line. Working with operators also gives us an opportunity to understand how the user behavior is working, how much data is getting consumed and stuff. So we get a lot of other insights in that way, which enable us to create new and new plans for the travelers in that line.
Yeah, perfect, excellent. And then for that local operator, so whenever you work with them, there will be certain amount you need to deposit, and there will be certain regulation you need to follow. While the other one is, there's will be less chaos, right?
I mean, regulation remains the same. I mean, it's the law of the land has to be followed, irrespective of we work with aggregator or with the operator. In that, the law of the land has to be followed,
Have to be the same.
has to be the same. We cannot do anything for that. And that line, as far as working with operator, if you have good volumes, of course, you prefer to work with operators. And there are certain not everybody is mainly focused on every country in that way, right? So wherever you're not that main focus, you're not that market revenue is getting generated from, you would prefer to work with aggregator where you don't have to put in so much of finance in that way, where you can use the finance in multiple other channels.
Right. Yeah, we have different opportunities.
Of course.
So well, when we talk about distributions, right? Because when you have so much data and so much invest so much on the network operator, for example, I know one of my friend. He has a company working in eSIM as well, and he worked with a telecommunication company in China, and this guy, they buy a lot of data from that local operator, but at the same time they need to distribute that data to the client as well, even though they can customize that data plan to the right target customer. But his story will always so be very challenging when it's come to distribution. What is your distribution story? How are you going to distribute this?
So our distribution is very simple, right? We are focused on the travel segment of the customers, right? So we want to work with travel partner companies, OTAs, airlines, attraction companies, where the real traveler is coming into the picture, right? Where we enable the traveler to use data while they're traveling. So the distribution is very simple. Either multiple blocks, where the first is we enable the eSIM and SIM resellers. That's what we are doing right now, which helps us to get more and more revenues in that part. The second is to go to B2B2C kind of model, where we work with companies like you, where you enable the customer with your services to have data connectivity, and at the back end, we are the suppliers for that. And third model is a B2C kind of model, where we directly go towards the customer through our multiple source of websites, apps, and other social media platform. One very interesting thing that we have experience and we want to get this thing line is B2E, business to enterprise kind of model. We also want to focus on the enterprise model, where a lot of enterprise travelers are always there, right?
The corporate sector.
Corporate sector is a very cream sector,
Yeah.
where we would like to target and save a lot of cost for the annual budgets on telecom in that manner. It's not only about one or two people traveling, right? The hundreds of people
entire
traveling in a
company,
month.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
And when you see the cost getting saved, it's huge at the end of the year when you do your budgeting and stuff. I mean, people only see, okay, you save $30, $40 for one trip, but when it's good amount of travel happening in a year, you save good amount of thousands, hundred thousands of dollars overall, or even more in the whole annual budget, right? And which you can utilize in any other segments.
So eSIM has been great, right?
Very,
so
very good.
what are the disadvantages of using eSIM?
I mean, I don't see any disadvantage at this point of time. Personally, I've been using it for a very long time since it started coming into the picture. I don't see any disadvantage. There's one disadvantage is if you delete it,
And it's gone.
it's gone. I mean, you don't have to do a mistake of doing the delete. That's it. Do not press the delete button. If you press the delete button, your eSIM is gone. Again, you have to go and follow the process, and the whole scenario works into the line.
Okay, so before this show, I posted on my personal Facebook a topic about our conversations this evening, and then we got a few questions on eSIM. I want to ask you directly right now because we are on the eSIM topic before we move on the next topic, which is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So Mr. Ting asks, Mr. Haas, that do you want to work to do the MVNO for mobile phone through the travel outbound?
MVNO is basically a operator which is riding on the main operator, right? So there's a main operator under which there are segments of operators. So MVNO is that particular thing, right? MVNO is basically mobile virtual network operator.
Ah, okay.
Right? So the main operator is called mobile network operator, under which an MVNO comes. Thank you for asking the question, and we would be more than happy to work with an MVNO in that line. If there is a lot of attraction coming into the Vietnam, which we always know, depending on what commercials are coming into the picture and how the whole plan works, we are more than happy to work with MVNOs directly.
Okay. The second question from Mr. Jing Chen. I am also a audience of Chat.Travel. I have a question that please asked me on the asked me on my behalf, what do you think to the eSIM development that affect to the current business model of traditional network operator in the upcoming years?
So that's a very good question in that way, right? That's gonna make operators' life more simple in that way, because having a physical SIM is not only the plastic kind of model, but it also connects with a lot of physical store. You need to go to the store, you need to have a human to change your SIM, and there's a lot of chain following of that. eSIM coming into the picture is gonna flush out all the other needs which are unnecessary at this point of time and makes more life more and more digital in that way. So life is moving digital and eSIMs are always electronic, so it's all digital in that way.
Okay, so the last question actually coming from me. Um, so we've been talking about sustainability because sustainability is big topics in our podcast series. So eSIMs contribute to the sustainable tourism activities that we mentioned earlier. That is waste is there's a less plastic waste and everything, but there's our opinion saying that eSIM actually indirectly contribute to polluting the environment. What do you think?
I don't see hardcore polluting the environment in that way. Um, because I don't understand this concept of polluting the environment at this point of
Because they
time.
talk about the computers, there's a lot of computers coming in this process and chips and stuff as well.
See, the world is moving digital, right? I mean, you talk about crypto, everything is digital. Right? They're consuming a lot of electricity, they're doing this and stuff. The world is going to evolve, right? The technology is also going to get evolved. For example, if you're saying, assuming the fact that, okay, it's polluting in that way, but it's going to get evolved. It's going to get into the journey where less of pollution is going to happen, even on the computers and all that stuff, where you use more amount of internet or computers and stuff, right? But overall, if you see the immediate factors, you're saving a lot of plastic, yeah, which is on the global warming and that stuff, right? As the journey flows, a lot of new challenges will come in, and the industry of the telecommunication will learn more and more about how to save things into it, right? So that might be a good journey into that way as well.
Yeah, but it takes time, right? It cannot happen overnight.
Now, it's gonna for sure take time. I mean, just an example, right? Even not all our handsets manufacturing right now, they're all eSIM enabled. I mean, we are talking about more 10, 12 years. So GSMA is a forum where all the operators get into the connect. It's a forum for telecommunication. They predict by 2036, 70% plus handsets will be eSIM. So it is still 10 years in the life. So we have to wait. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
There's no change immediate. We have to wait and watch and get with the flow.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey here today. Managing a like $7 billion
Million dollar.
dollar company is not an easy task, right? Um, my company here, we are last year our revenue was 5 million. It's very very tough jobs. We have 40 employees, and the management is big, and a lot of work's going on. And even myself, I'm struggling sometimes. Tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurships. What has been the most challenging part in your leadership?
So yeah, I mean, it has been a roller coaster overall. Yeah, for every startup that you do is a roller coaster, right? In that way. So there's a combination between myself and my co-founder where we divide our roles in that manner. He manages. He's more into the strategic model and technology model in that way. So he manages that particular role very well, aligning with me on the front end. So I'm more into sales, marketing, talking to all the operators, understanding how the whole is world is working on the technology part, right? And then we both get into a very good equation of sharing our roles at the end with the vision of making Commbitz a good success and story in that, right? But overall, the more important thing is also our team, right? Team plays a very important role in that manner, and we do not put any restrictions on the team. We let them open up whatever ideas they think into it are much more validated in that particular point of time, and we're open for all the ideas. So that's a main kind of combination where our founders have to be aligned to the idea, very very strongly binded. Plus, as well, the team has to be aligned and be respected in the same manner that we want to get respected. So that helps overall a startup to run into a very seamless manner in that way. Yeah.
Right. And are you guys bootstrap?
We are all bootstrap. We are
You want
bootstrap.
to take investment in the future?
We are in line of getting investments. We are getting a lot of plus and minuses coming up from the investors in that way. We are looking at a couple of proposals as well. The term sheets are already there with us. We are looking into it, but we are more than happy to look into investments. At this point of time, we are, I mean, again saying we are bootstrap. We are EBITDA positive. We are running high on our top line. No losses in that way as you are EBITDA
So
positive.
they're making the money.
Oh my God. Oh, looking forward to make good amount of money for everybody in the system. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So for that, for running a company is not just the leadership, but the team as well. And as you mentioned earlier, how are you treating the team? How are you making sure that they are performing?
Right. So we what we do is we have an open culture into it, right? We do not limit ourselves in way. The good part is the team also belongs in the ecosystem for a long time. So they understand how the whole operations are working into it, which gives us a lot of advantage of being in the industry in that manner. So there are a lot of ideas that comes up with in and out with day in day out. We have our weekly calls and monthly calls where team puts in their ideas and come into the picture that how we can do it, right? We even let our team going to multiple travel shows in that way wherever we participate, so they get to get more and more ideas about how the whole business can be turned around or what are the value adds that can get a business into it, right?
Right. As a founder and the CEO of a company, of multi-million dollars company, what has been your most memorable challenges that you face and you still remember?
So when we started Commbitz, right, the major challenge that we had was two major challenges. One was convincing the operators, because the operators are not that into the line of moving from the physical trend of SIM to an eSIM.
Especially when you are bootstrap, right? Nobody knows about you.
Not even bootstrap. It's not about even bootstrap. It's about the operators are not being educated themselves.
So they don't know.
That's a very funny fact that not all the operators in the world, even at this age of time, are eSIM enabled.
So is that difficult for them to?
I mean, I don't understand. It's not that difficult because the world is moving towards technology is to be copied,
Right.
whatever they do it. But there is a transition of time happening around, right? So we want all the operators to be eSIM enabled, which is good for them, good for us, and good for travelers as well, and good for any consumer in that way, right? So it was a challenging to go and explain the operator, a lot of discussion, a lot of presentation, but finally we achieved that role into that way. Yeah. The other second challenge that we faced was technology, right? As every startup faces issues on technology, even we faced issues on technology. We were doing it technology, but then we wanted to move forward. So now we have got good set of partners coming into it through the connections that you also shared a couple of references in that way. So now we are doing a good roadmap of technology. In that way we have made good progress. And technology even internally that we have right now is one of the unique one based in regards to comparison of the others. But now we are bringing up more about AI. We want to bring up crypto, blockchain, travel attractions and services. So we require a more advanced kind of technology coming into the picture.
Right. Excellent. What kind of technology are you going to intend to gain in your companies at a strategic point of view? Are you going to do with AI, IoTs, and so on and so forth?
So we have already started working onto AI. We already have AI onto our B2B platform. We are leveraging and working on AI for B2C kind of model and even B2B2C, where, as I mentioned, that the chatbot does everything in that line. We do not have a sales agent sitting in. The chatbot, you throw in the question, the chatbot will give you the answers back, and where you can even purchase seamlessly in that manner.
So the AI suggest they learn from the data from the people.
Correct.
Where this is where they are be traveling, and then they can learn from the flight ticket, for example. They'll be traveling for 3 days, so they be suggesting which is the right package. Is that
Correct.
something?
Correct. So we want customers to exactly give us data and simple questions being asked, and then we push the data in regards for our plans and services. So customer can choose what amount of data he requires or she requires when they are traveling abroad, and that makes life more easier for everybody in that manner. The other technology which we are trying to work upon in the roadmap is blockchain. As I mentioned earlier as well, we want to accept cryptocurrencies because the world is moving towards that. We want to bring up our own coin and stuff in that manner.
Yeah, and then for the when we talk about this as well, what advice would you give to the aspiring young generation if they want to enter the travel sector, and especially for the telecommunication. I think it will be very tough. It's not easy to get in, but I know somebody that are very aspiring. They really want to get in, and they don't have the money as well. Just like you, one back in the day, coming into it like empty-handed, as like me. Do you think they should follow their dream, or they should just wait for better opportunity?
Follow the dream is the good one. I mean, dreams can make wonders in your life. And dreams, I think, if you don't have a dream, you won't do anything in life. You will not chase the dream, right? Chasing the dream is the right thing to do it. Do not wait for right opportunity. Every single day, every single minute is a right opportunity for you. Unless and until you try anything, you won't be able to success.
Right.
That's the real thing into it, right? Be focused on solving real problems for real people. That's very important. Real problems for real people, right? Be open to all the ideas. Be open to do all the experiments. Unless you do experiments, unless you try something, you will not be able to succeed. Right? You try 100 times, you win only one time.
It's
So
already
that,
success.
yeah, because you're trying. Every
Right.
time you try, you're making new things. You're learning something new, and at the end, you win it. So that's what I would say. I would say dream more, chase more, experiment more.
Right. So let's talk about Commbitz in Vietnam. What is your plan to expand into Vietnam? Do you want to, because we 106 million people now, is what's such a huge market in Southeast Asia. Do you yet have a plan to get step foot into this market?
Yeah, so we started, I mean, as I said, right, we are into B2B business and B2B2C kind of model already. So we have a couple of eSIM and SIM resellers already in the Vietnam market who buy supply from us and they sell it to their customers in the front. So in that way, we already entered the Vietnam market, already serving the Vietnamese customers. But hopefully this second quarter, we are planning to have our own base here with team who's going to be localized more into the market and having B2C kind of sales coming up, attracting customers directly through our channels. So that enables us to have a direct footprint in the market where people know about us. And of course, B2B2C is always there with us in that line. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the airlines, right? So earlier you mentioned airlines and OTAs and TAs. For those who are not afraid of selling ancillaries products, I think it's different story. But for those who are, they have a lot of money or they have a lot of customers, but they don't want to step foot into, like such as I would say small sector like transportation or SIM cards. We work with a few airlines in the past year as well. When we do transportation, they said that transportation accountable for less than 1.5% of their revenue, so they don't even bother. For eSIM, I think for the most part, it's even the value even smaller than private transportations. And how do you convince allies? How do you convince these OTAs and big partner to invest their capitals and everything into and resources to get this? I mean, some of our audiences here are the leadership in the allies in Vietnam, and not only allies, but some of them are the founder and big corporate companies here in Vietnam as well. I think they want to listen to this, what you want to say to convince them that this is what you should basically invest into.
See, basically, in regards to our kind of business, I would say data is a must. Every traveler needs to get connected in that way, in some or the other way, right? If the airline or the OTA or a travels company is not getting to opt for that services, your customer is going to look for the services somewhere else. And what if that particular company starts servicing the other part of the business that you're already servicing? So once the customer is moving out of your platform, you don't have a control on the customer. He's going to go and look out for services in the market. So for example, a company not selling eSIMs, not into the communication manner, not even selling transportation, a customer is needing into it, right? He will go to other platform. And what if that platform is giving him better services or good quality services or cost effective services for your services that you're selling? So your customer is already looking for something else, but he found that you are more expensive than the other company who's selling your services as well. So why do we have to lose the customer? Make your customer as one travel shop, ensure every travel things are into your platform, and make your customer happy.
Right. but at the same time, they don't want to get into troubles, right?
So I don't see this as being more troubled in that way. Physical sims for more trouble, right? Because of the logistic manner and that stuff. The more educated the customer becomes, this is less hassle free. I mean, in my phone at this point of time, I have more than 20 profiles of eSIMs traveling abroad, right? Just do a switch on, off, and it works.
Excellent. So, what is the technology or the future of travel technology that is coming up in 2025, 2026, or next 5 year that you are predicting?
So we are predicting in that way. This is my personal prediction in that way. I see AI playing a lot of role into the market in that way, right? It's all AI enables at the back end. They enables the companies as well to get a control of the customer in knowing where they are traveling, what they're going to do, where they are staying, and this helps not in a negative way but a positive way for the companies like us to offer them accurate services, accurate kind of products that we want to give them. So they get personalized services, they get personalized plans. Everything is personalized in that way. So AI is going to play a lot of role in getting a lot of personalization regards to the travel communication happening around.
Right. So that is bring me to the point where the big allies or big OTA they're concerned as well when it's come to AIs. So they talk about to me about data privacy. So one of the reasons they don't want to do eSIM at the moment is they worry about data privacy, that data leakage or the data, that their customer, the data got to be somewhere else. So how do you explain, or how do you convince the people that your client's data is safe with us?
So it's very simple, right? I mean, we have this getting, we also get the same kind of challenges as you get it, right? So our logic is very simple. The data that we get from the customers are being compliant in multiple countries by the law. We abided by the law. We do not share our data to any third parties in that way. We keep the data only to us, and they're all into certifications and stuff. We get the audits done and everything happens around. So data is secured at our way. We do not do a third party. Don't even do third party promotions on the data that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we do not want any customer to get any kind of promotion messages from us, which is not related to our service, right? In that way. Luckily, we are in talks with a lot of large airlines globally in that way. We are already getting into large OTAs in the world, which we cannot name it at this point of time. We have completed all the checks and stuff in regards to data security, in regards to compliances and all that stuff. So I'm pretty much sure that we are in that line. We don't want to play around with the data because it is very, very important for everybody in that line. Yeah.
Very nice. So last but not least, I know it's been a while, but for the closing question, because I understand that people understand today a lot about eSIM, because for before this episode, we already sit down with another client, another I guess speaker of ours about eSIM, and today we want to understand it a little bit more deeply in different perspective. When we talk about one thing, for me, I wanted to dive really really deep from different perspective as well, from the local operator, from aggregators, from distribution. So I think today people understand a lot about eSIM already. So, and then you talk about AI, you talk about a lot of innovation, even the technology, and even the blockchain, the cryptocurrencies. What is the message you want to put out into the world that uh, from having nothing and from a very low starting point to a point of 6-7 million pound last year, and a lot of technology coming up? And what do you want to talk to the people that are students sitting, still at school, and the people that are struggling to start their dream, that they are just waiting for the opportunity? And what they've been telling me, and I tell them as well, that I am waiting for my opportunity. I said, what are you waiting for? My opportunity. And I asked them when. I said, it will come at the right time. Yeah. So to you, for those people that, if you are a role model, if you are um, a role model for them to look at you, and at what Comits have been doing, have done, what can you tell them, so they can just get out of the bed and do something?
See, for me, it has been very simple. The right time is when you start thinking or start you dream, the time when you start dreaming, right? That is the right time. And you're already decided in your mind that you want to do something. That's the first step of any entrepreneur in that way. Yeah. You do not have to wait for any opportunity. Opportunity will not come to you. You have to go for an opportunity. Yeah. 100 no's, one yes will change your life, right? 100 failures, one success will change your life in that way. Do not wait for any opportunity. I mean, I don't believe in that pattern of waiting for an opportunity in that way. I mean, opportunity is always when you're ready for it. There are hundreds of opportunities every single day. You just have to go and grab the right time. And right time does not come in plate. You have to work hard for it, right? The more hard work you do, more you understand the game, more you understand the challenges, and then you learn from every single phase of life. The more you learn, the more you do more good in that manner. So it's very simple. Don't wait for right time. When you start thinking of doing something, that's the right time to do it. Do not wait for anything. That's the first step you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's crucially important as well, because if you just wait for opportunity, you don't know, right? And you need
Correct.
to work for the opportunity. Just like I told my marketing team that they want to gain 1 million viewership on a videos, and then they have like 6 video right now. They need to work. I think you need to work 100 videos, and you fight why you don't get there, and then you will get there at some point.
Yeah. Every time you do a video, you learn something new.
Right, absolutely. So I thank you very much, Harsh, today for joining Chat.Travel. Do you want to say something to?
Thank you very much to you as well for hosting me here. And I would all say to all the travelers, please come to our platform, try how eSIM works. We are happy to give free eSIMs to anybody coming up to our platform, using it, experience the new change of travel communication, and I'm pretty sure you will love it.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will be contacting Mr. Ching and Mr. Tick after the show. As thank you very much for sending the questions. And then for the future shows as well, we're very happy to coordinate this before the next guest. We'll be announcing who will be coming next, so the audience can interact and can talk
Ask
more
questions.
so your next trip to Vietnam, I'm sure with you will be sit out again, and
Hopefully, yeah.
then we'll have another episode. Maybe we do a live streaming.
Lovely.
Where the customer with us will do live streaming, and they will you answer the question directly. Many of the question today will take them from the audience. They ask me every day. They ask me why you do this, why the eSIM is like this, why the eSIM is like that. So I thank you very much again for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And you have a great time in Vietnam.
Thank you very much. And lovely for having me.
Thank you.